And welcome into a state championship week edition of the Recruiting Roundup. Scout.com's Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. We bring the latest in Arizona high school football recruiting year-round. Jason, we're going to get into the state championship games tomorrow. This time it's about the recruiting, though, and there's been a lot over the last couple weeks. The first one, a quarterback commitment for a player playing in a state championship game this week.
Yeah, Hamilton's quarterback James Sosinski committed last week to UMass. UMass has Arizona ties. Their head coach, Mark Whipple, actually played at Camelback High School, went on and played at Brown, but when he was a coach there prior, he would recruit the state of Arizona. Doing a great job there at UMass trying to turn that program around. Now, Sosinski, big kid, 6'7", 240 pounds. Coach Bellis told me that the Minutemen are recruiting him as a quarterback, but with that size, he potentially could move to tight end, I think, if quarterback doesn't work out.
And Hamilton has shoved out some great quarterbacks over the years. A great opportunity for Sosinski. Next, another commitment, player out of Tucson, Marcus Edwards, announced his commitment.
Yeah, the big defensive tackle committed to Navy. What's interesting about this was Edwards didn't play this year. He had a knee injury, missed his entire senior season, but he just liked the loyalty that Navy stuck with him. Cornell had also offered him, but he told me that it was the best decision of his life, he felt, because the education that he's going to get at Navy is going to push him through further and forward through his life, and that's why he committed to Navy.
Valley Vista's Armando McCoy gets an offer from Western Illinois and a commitment right after that.
Yeah, he got offered last Tuesday, committed on a Thursday. The cornerback is a guy that I really like. He's not real big. He's about 5'9" or 5'10", weighs about 175 pounds, but he is a good student, a good character kid, and I think Western Illinois is getting a very solid football player. This was his first offer, and he took advantage of it. He jumped on it right away. He has a teammate there, Miles Spearman, so he's kind of familiar with the program, but Western Illinois does a good job of recruiting in the state of Arizona, and I think they got another good prospect in Armando McCoy.
And that's it for the commitments. Now an offer to get to happened a couple weeks back. NAU the first to offer Hamilton defensive player Tristan Vance.
Yeah, the linebacker Tristan Vance was offered by, like you mentioned, NAU was his first offer at the Division I level. Now I think the Lumberjacks are going to end up being one of those schools that are in the mix for him. Texas San Antonio has shown some interest, as well as Arizona Christian, but Vance is a guy that's blossomed from his junior to his senior year and shown that he can be an athletic Mike backer.
No question about it. He stepped in for Santana Sterling. It was big shoes to fill, and he's done it with flying colors. So that's it for the recruiting news. Let's look back to the semifinals last week. There were a lot of great performances because, quite frankly, there were a few more blowouts than I think a lot of us expected. But there was one performance that just stood out amongst all the rest, and it was from a familiar face. Christian Kirk was an absolute monster against Queen Creek.
I think he's pretty much cemented himself as being the player of the year in the state and possibly one of the greatest players ever to put on a uniform in the state of Arizona. He had 6 touchdowns last week in their big-time win. But what he was able to do, he did it all over the field. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. He had 2 receiving touchdowns, which puts him as the all-time leader in Arizona history in career receiving touchdowns. And then he took a pick back to the house. Just unbelievable what Christian Kirk can do. I think it's going to be another great game in that Division III matchup, Saguaro versus Williamsfield.
Yeah, and we'll get into those tomorrow. Check back tomorrow. We go through Divisions 1 through 5, the state championship games, on a special edition of the Recruiting Roundup. So make sure you check back in for that. Until then, that's Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. This has been the Recruiting Roundup, powered by Rock and Refuel.